Welcome. Hello. And we're back. It's Monday, I think. And we are here for the finale of Family Talk with Becca Toups. Services are going to be resuming here at Calvary, which is exciting. We're going to see some sense of normalcy. And with that, the stage and things are going to be transformed back into what we normally see. So this is our last week of Family Talk with Becca Toups, and it has been a huge honor. I'm really excited to have someone here that I've known for a very long time in lots of different capacities, and I'm going to tell you about all those. They're really exciting. This is Stacy Rich. Hi, Stacy.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm living my best life here, my best quarantine life. Stacy and I go back. She even reminded me we were catching up, like, back even further than I thought we went. I actually used to babysit Stacy once upon a time and her sisters.
Yes.
I've known your family. I've known your parents, your sisters. You are, oh gosh, we could just keep going on, like, the level of list of things that we have in common. But Stacy played volleyball here at UNM, and I played volleyball once upon a time. Correct? Right? Stacy is a former queen. Right? A pageant queen?
You should define it.
Yeah, nice and loud. So, hi, Stacy, my high school buddy. We played
hey,
hoops
Ruth.
and went to school together. Yay! So, Stacy was former Miss Las Cruces.
Yes.
Right?
Rio Rancho.
Cloudcroft,
Hitting up all the big cities in New Mexico.
Nail it. No,
right.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and competed in the Miss New Mexico pageant and things. Correct. And I feel like I walked you through some makeup things through that season.
Yes, you did. I still use some of the tips you taught me.
Yeah, girl.
Makeup tips, Becca.
And let's see, what else? She's a mother.
Of 4.
4 children.
Yes.
You've got boys and 2 and 2.
Yeah, so my girls are the bookends, and I've got 2 little boys in the middle.
Right in the middle. And so mom of 4, which instantly, like, that's like, okay, we've got something to talk about because I feel you, right. Like the chaos, the like craziness that comes and goes. And so I think you can definitely have the microphone here and have a lot to speak to, you know. And then you also run your own business.
Correct. I work in essential oils. I'm a master herbalist.
You're an oiler?
So, yeah.
An oiler? I like that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really cool. And, you know, that more and more we're seeing so many moms that, like, want to be home with their kids, but also need to find a way to have an income or a second income or figure something out for their family.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing and it's really respectable. And you've been doing that for a long time, right?
Right. I've been doing that for about 5 years and have a team of about 1,000 people. We do some sales every month and just get to work with some incredible women that are on the same track. So.
And you can plug it with Young Life, right?
Young Living.
Oh, dang it.
Young Life
is a youth group too. Young Living Oils. So, yeah. And then this certainly doesn't define you, but I think it's interesting. It's something that I really wanted to make sure that I brought someone on the show to speak to this demographic, if you will, because I think it's kind of a...
one that we maybe look past or don't necessarily want to talk about.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the church kind of, we want to reach out to these people, the widows, the single mothers, the people that are doing it alone, but they don't always get all of the attention, you know? So you're raising those 4 kids and you're doing it solo, which...
about a year and a half in. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So still a little bit fresh, but hard, but you're tough, and I just feel like the single moms in my life have such a big place in my heart. First of all, I was a single mom for a period of time, so I know what that looks like. I know the difficulty of that. I've been through the D word, divorce, and that pain and just what, you know, that brokenness and what that looks like. But also what I love is that God really uses broken things. He doesn't use perfect people. You know, he restores those relationships and is working through your children's life.
That's right.
Because of that brokenness and that humbling too. So
yeah, and I think, you know, we were talking a little bit, but I think it's that place of the titles can have such an attachment to them and different qualities or characteristics. And so being able to just kind of separate that and remember I'm who I am with whatever label this season possesses.
Sure.
And just walking in it that way, I don't know, that's given me a lot of freedom.
Well, and we're not defined by who we are, what we do, or by our mistakes either, you know, and we're forgiven and redeemed, and that's really, you're a child of God, and that's what that looks like.
I love that.
I lived through the, you know, divorce in that season of being a single mother, and I was really kind of had a hard time. I was a little bit resentful because I feel like people I'd get phone calls all the time and I'd be like, I don't want to be the divorce girl
You
poster
don't wanna be the
child,
one that-
you know,
yeah,
or
sure.
the single mom poster
Sure.
child, like getting these calls. But I feel like when you walk through those things and those
Yeah.
trials, it gives you a microphone or a platform
That's
to speak
right.
into the lives of people who are living that and going through that after you in a way that nobody else can.
Right.
You know?
And when you embrace your messy, like whatever
Mm-hmm.
that looks like, you know, if we take it like and pull it back and look at it broad picture, whatever the messy is, this is my messy, somebody else's messy is different.
Mm-hmm.
God moves powerfully in those moments when we give him the space to as well. And so I think in that's the real truth of beauty from ashes. And so I love it.
Dang, beauty for ashes. I love that. One of my things that was like, I didn't want to put that out there and be labeled that,
Sure.
you know?
Right. Because the
But-
labels can have the attachments that then you're like, no, I'm not. But, right. No.
But it was, and also I know personally that it was challenging sometimes because really well-meaning, well-intentioned people would kind of come alongside and try to give advice or speak into that or tell me what I needed to do. And it was hard because it's like, they can't speak to it, I feel like, sometimes until you've lived
Until
it.
you've
And
walked it,
and
yeah.
certainly there's biblical counselors out there and people, but when someone comes beside you and is like, hey, I've been there, I know it's hard, but you can do it, and
Yeah.
here's why, that's so much more encouraging and so much more powerful, I feel like, than just someone like, hey, good luck with that.
Right.
It's hard, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's definitely that balance of learning the grace to say thanks, I appreciate it, and letting it. But it's
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
balance.
it's well intentioned and it comes from a place of love, and I
It
feel
does.
like I
Most
know
of the time.
from people maybe who have suffered loss or, you know,
Yeah.
or are grieving, kind of the same thing applies.
That's right.
And when you've been through that phase, it's a kind of grief and it is a kind of loss. So when you lose somebody, I feel like somebody else who has lost someone through death can come alongside and comfort you in a different way that
That's
other
true.
people don't really know what to say. So
Well,
it's
because you
similar.
made such a good point. Like that title can get attached from decisions, but it can also get attached from things that were completely outside of someone's control. You mentioned someone loses a spouse, and suddenly you're in that role. You're facing the reality of it, and you had no say in it. So it can happen in all kinds of ways. And knowing that you've got other people that are around you that can speak into it and encourage, or just pass along, hey, this is what's working for me right now. That's massive. So
Yeah.
I love that you're opening up the door for this today.
Yeah, that conversation and just that recognizing, like, I feel like in family talk I keep each week talking about a different hero, you know, and nurses and, you know, grocery store workers, but also last week or the week before I talked about children being the heroes, but also I just feel like the single parent right now that's normally wears, you know, 7 different hats, is wearing 17 hats now
Yeah.
because you've got 4 different teachers' hats that you're wearing, you're trying to take care of your house, you're trying to be the mom.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like, it's a
a
lot for
couple
all of
things.
us.
Yeah.
And my friends that are single moms, like, I just are the strongest velvet coated steel that I know, you know.
Thanks.
No, and I feel like
I think we're all doing it, and I think it's cool to say, like, hey, to each of those people that are out there, that you're seen, you're loved, you're valued. It's, you know,
and I feel like when the mom is struggling the most, I feel like they don't see it, but that's also when they're the strongest, if you will, and
right.
that's when my heart goes out, and I have so much admiration too. So anyway,
I love
big
it.
flag celebrating all the single parents
Can we
out there
clap?
that
What
are
do they do in like
yeah.
the UK? They're clapping for the. Did you see that?
Oh, for the
Yeah, they're-
heroes. So
yeah,
we're
we're gonna clap
clapping
for the single
for all the
moms and single
heroes and all the
parents.
single parents
Yeah.
out there that are like muscling through right now. But again, not to say that you're defined by that, but how would you decide, just as a parent and as a mother, how would you define or describe your parenting style?
Oh wow, what a good question. So, I'm big on attitude with my kids. We like the saying in our house is attitude is everything. Because I feel like if I can instill that in them, then how it feathers out, how it's going to impact what they're doing with their peers, how it's going to impact what they're doing with one another. That's our big thing. So I like to pull back and think, what's our objective here, and how are we going to approach this marathon that we're in? And
Yep.
by focusing on attitude quite a bit, that's been, you know, my approach is teaching them to think, teaching them to take what they're learning and instill it in them as they're empowered and can do it themselves. So that's been a big one. I think that's probably, you know, when it comes down, if I were to drill it down.
Attitude.
Yeah, it's a lot about attitude.
You said something in there, and we were chatting yesterday. You brought this up, and I love that you just said the word because it triggered. You said marathon.
Yes.
And I think that's such a good analogy for what we're in right now, what you were
Yes.
saying. I'm going to let you just take that because you
Yeah.
were preaching good yesterday on the phone about this being a marathon.
we're like, firstborn, type A, love the checklist, love to get it done, that sense of accomplishment. And that can be a sprinter's mentality really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was a sprinter for years. And so that start, go fast, go hard, get it done, and you're done, right? But this
Burn
is a
yourself out real quick.
marathon. Yeah, so finding the space and finding the ways to be able to look at it and say, I have to be able to show up multiple days in a row and shifting my paradigm a little bit so that I'm geared up for a long run. That's a totally
With your
different
children.
approach.
Yeah.
Because
It's a marathon.
never mind
And
Corona. We're talking
it's not
18 years total. Right?
Well, yeah, no, and it's not. I mean, honestly, it's not even a marathon. It's an Ironman. I'm going to take it a step further and say that, like,
So true.
parenting, especially right now, is an
Yes.
Ironman marathon
It's
because
true.
it's
I
like
love
you've
that.
got to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
You know, and do it well, and not just like, hey, I did it, I showed up, peace out, go ahead and make yourself dinner.
Right.
Though as they get older, it does get a little bit
happen.
easier.
Those are things that can come into play.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you have a mantra, yours is attitude is everything.
Yeah, I have a song and everything.
Do it.
No, the song?
Yeah.
Really, the jingle?
Uh-huh.
Attitude is everything. Everything. Everything.
I love it.
And it keeps going. Anyway.
Does that have
but
more words, though?
No.
Just
No, that
attitude
would
is
be,
everything?
yeah, because I figure, like, what are the things that stick out in my life? The things that are set to music. I mean, I can remember Bible verses from when I was little because they were songs.
Oh, yeah.
So the jingles in our house are a big deal.
Were you like a salty? You were
Yes,
a
of
church kid,
course.
right? For
Of
sure.
course.
Nostalgia. Let's go down
Salty the
the
Songbook.
Salty the Singing Songbook.
Amen.
I do. You know what I do for my kids, and this might be a little older than you, but I used to have a record player, and I had this
Yes,
record,
I love that.
and it was a snail, the Have Patience snail. Do you know the song?
Well,
I make my kids sing this song all the time,
What-
and they get
what is
so
the
mad.
song? Because
Have patience, and you sing it really slow because it's a snail. Have patience.
Don't be in such a hurry
When you get impatient. I am not a worship leader, but I'm doing this. Anybody else out there know what we're talking about? Or are we just like
Yeah,
going
no,
crazy?
that is
Come
the
on.
character builder
Austin, my
series.
daughter's on here. Come on, Austin.
Awesome.
Have patience. Have patience.
They have a DVD collection.
Dang,
Becca.
I'm gonna
All those
get it.
books are on DVD.
We used to like Nanny Bird and Rappin' with Rappin' Rabbit. Like, come on. I know people out there know
Oh,
what
I
I'm
love
talking
it.
about. I'm losing. Okay. Okay. Come on. So anyway, I make my kids, and like since they were little, anytime they're being
Yeah.
impatient, I make them sing that song.
That's right. That's right.
And my 4-year-old now will cry if I sing that song. Mom,
wanna
don't
hear
sing
it.
that
No, I
song.
love it. It's so good.
I'm like, all right, well, you have to sing the patience song.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a little bit of a rabbit trail we went down.
But hey, we're giving a plug for a great product. If you need some character
Mantra.
building,
There's some good stuff.
Check
My
these
dad gave me the
DVDs out.
thumbs up.
That's
There you go.
right.
Triple S. It's all in the family. Yes.
I
So
love it.
those things stick with you, but it's important. And
right.
so
So
yes.
that's my kids have a lot of little songs that I've written about what I'm trying to teach
Mm-hmm.
them because I figure they're going to remember the tune and they know the drill now. So I just ask them, "No, what are we doing?" And they'll now they just know they've got to sing the song. So
Good. Good.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna reinforce that at home.
Yes.
Get the songs back going, and my teenagers love it.
yeah, for sure.
Tell me, and I don't want the like. And I keep
don't
saying
want
the perfect sugar coated, like
Yeah,
this
you
is
want-
we're happy and everybody cleans and does their homework.
Yeah.
Well, what is a typical day looking like in your house right now?
Yeah. Well, okay. So not sugar coated. Obviously,
real,
I think the
real
thing
life, like with the struggles and stuff too.
that we're all talking about probably is way more screen time than we thought. So we'll just get that out there. I've admitted it. Way more screen time than I thought my
Yeah.
children would ever participate in.
Everybody is.
But we do, breakfast, and I try to get up early because if I don't do a couple things in my routine, like gratitude, meditation, reading some, then I know that the day is just going to be
Gone.
Yeah, and it will be. I mean, I'll try to recover, but it's not going to happen. So that's a big one. And then breakfast, and they've got school. I've been blessed. We've got a sweet friend that she's been helping with the little two, so that's probably saved my sanity. I homeschooled for 10 years and did the whole thing, but there's something about doing that with coronavirus now. It's a totally different ballgame, and I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I kept up with that.
Well, there were different supports and there were different activities and groups and things you could go to, and now it's like solely resting on you. But it's interesting that you have that perspective because you did homeschool for 10 years, and then your kids went to traditional school, right? They were in charter school, and now back to Corona. So you've got a lot of good perspective.
They think it's really funny. You know, they finally go to school and now they're back at home.
And they're back at home. Do they like it?
They love school. They miss school.
Oh, yeah.
So now I think they've had this break and they're used to being away from one another. Mm-hmm. So there is way more. We were talking about this before. There's way more of the bickering and the fighting and the things that are just that normal part of life. But yeah, I mean, they do have the responsibilities too. There's that. They've got to keep stuff together and.
So go back. I'm not sure if you mentioned the ages of your kids, so that we're clear with the ages.
So I have a 12-year-old daughter, Hope. And then a 10-year-old son, Seth. Nate is 7. He'll be 8 in a month.
Okay.
And Belle,
your baby,
is 6.
6. Okay, so 6 is your youngest. 6 to 12 is that range. And funny, also side fact, I forgot to even mention this, that we were in labor at the same time with our 12-year-old.
Yes.
So her daughter and my son were born like
within
literally
hours
12 hours within a window of like labor and stuff at the same hospital on the same floor. So we also have that connection, which I think is cool.
Lots of connections.
But on that note, I think it's important too, and I definitely have a lot of this and I love it, to have friends that have children in the same phases as you, so that you can have that relation and like, I'm going crazy, my kids are fighting too, I'm going crazy. I'm like,
it's not just me.
Yeah, it's not just me. Or be able to talk through the struggles, and that kind of thing.
Right, I agree. Yeah, and you've said that before, having a tribe around you of people that, I think all of us look at motherhood, and I remember a friend telling me, I wish I got a report card. Because I want to know how I'm doing, right? I want to know, am I doing a good job? Am I doing the right things? Or am I totally screwing this up? And it's going to blow up in my face. Anything in between.
Well, and you can't, the hard thing is you can't rely, and as you kind of, I think you and I have a similar personality, and they're like list checkers, and I want to accomplish this. Like, I'm an Enneagram 3, and so like I like to hear like, hey, you saw that, you did a great job. I like the recognition. I love the measurables, and that's why even working outside the home for me just a little bit, so I have a report and I can see what my AUS looks like.
Yes.
I don't know, my boss is on here. She is. But I miss that, and I like that. And that's the part, being a mom, you don't get that. Except I was in Disneyland once with my son. Actually, I was in Disney World. I was standing in the middle of Disney World with him and taken all the way to Florida. We're there, it's raining. And something where there was a line, a ride was broken, and my son goes, "You're the worst mom in the whole world."
Thanks a lot.
And I'm like, and we're done. We're in Disney World. I gotta go. Like,
this is about as level 10 as I can be. Yes. And you're complaining.
Yes. And the kids, like, you can't put your identity and your success in their hands either. Like, you just have to plug away.
But I think what you're getting at is when you've got friends and you can have that, okay, this is not just a me thing. There's something about that moment when someone can look at you and say, oh, me too. It diffuses any question that you have in your mind. That you're doing a terrible job. Yeah, it really does. It takes the edge off. So I love that.
Okay. Well, I disrupted your, like, typical day.
Well, it's not that interesting. I mean, it's it's kind of like what everybody's day looks like, right? You do the meals, you do the activities. One of the things I found that helps, because I am that type A, I like the idea of a schedule where we have the color-coded, right? I am never going to keep up with that, because it's not realistic, but we have a rhythm. And so that's become a big thing for us, is having a rhythm. We've got anchors in our day. Like, we're going to do gratitude in the morning. We're going to go through that. We're going to put on the full armor of God, something that they can start their day, right? Get them set up for that. And then books before bed and activity outside. So we've got those anchors that we try to work in there, but it's real life. I mean, we're human people, 5 of us living in a house with the things that go on. So
all the drama.
Yeah, and the meals and the
Well, I love that you said that too. And in one of my earlier episodes, I talked about, like, I love the idea of that color-coded schedule, and that went out the window real quick, and then Zoom calls took over, and then I didn't even know which way is up, and I don't even know what month it is still, to be completely honest.
When someone told me it's 2 months in, I was like, what? How is this possible?
It's insane.
It doesn't seem possible that we've been doing this that long.
No, it's
insane. And
that
we're all still alive.
I'm not even 100% sure we are, but yes, it's 100% true. But as I had to let go of that structure and have, like, kind of like you said, anchors, but I called them my 4 points. As long as I'm, like, taking care of their spiritual health, we're having some fun as a family, we're doing some reading, and then I'm like, okay, check. Those boxes are checked. We're okay. We did it. We're fine. But yeah.
And I like the idea of rhythm versus schedule. because that rhythm sounds good. Sounds like something musical and happy and fun. And no schedule for me.
Yeah, throw the schedule out. All right. Anybody else? How long did it take you all to throw your schedule out? That's what I want to hear from the people who are on right now. No, I mean, but during quarantine. I want to know how, like...
Oh, yeah. I didn't... Well, I think because I've homeschooling, right? I already knew I did have a little bit of an advantage in that regard because I knew from those years of experience that a schedule wouldn't work. Yeah. How long did it take you though?
Oh,
like how long did you try to?
There was a day like it was such a good win, and that I got like my fun station and all the extra stuff for the kids to do.
I love
and I bought this crazy coloring book, and they were obsessed with it. And I was such a win. Like that's all they wanted to do for a day. But I actually got really frustrated. I was like, no, but I've got other things to do, and all they wanted to do was color. And then I was like, okay, whatever. As long as they're not fighting and they're happy, and like I feel like coloring uses both sides of your brain and stuff. So
yeah.
But it took about 2 weeks for the schedule.
I hadn't thought about that though. Actually, like. What a difference that is for moms that have maybe never been home with their kids. I don't know why that had not occurred to me until just now. But yeah, it would make sense that you'd be like, we're going to do this and stay on track. Because you've got to feel like you're doing the things.
I have to feel like I'm doing some teachery things.
Yeah. Wow. Well, then I think kudos to you for lasting 2 weeks.
Thanks.
Of the schedule.
Thanks.
Good
It was
job.
tough. Well, talk to me about multitasking because of the different ages of your children. You already told me that somebody else is helping you out a little bit.
She
you have
comes
a friend.
for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
4 days a week.
Bless her.
I know.
Halo.
I know. Seriously.
But because you have different ages of kids and homeschooling and trying to take care of the house, and you have a business that you're obviously running to, what does that look like for you? The multitasking.
You know, I really love the idea of multitasking, but what I've realized is that it doesn't really, in my opinion, it doesn't actually exist, right? Because I'm only doing the one thing. I've got the things running in the back of my head, like we have doing the dishes and talking to the kid.
Right.
But what I've figured out for myself that works for me is I'm better if I just try to be present with the one thing.
That's good.
Because otherwise I've got 4 of them, right? I've got 4 of them, and they can all start talking at once. And I would think by now they'd know you don't do that. We got to talk one at a time. So I just tell them, it's not your turn. Like if they it's not your turn. You have to wait your turn. And I try to keep it one thing at a time because I realized multitasking isn't actually happening in my world.
That's good. That's good. No, I mean, I kind of pride myself on being a multitasker, but really I just kind of go around and do one thing and then do this and then go back and do that.
And I feel overwhelmed by it. So if I try to stay present in whatever the thing is, and that thing could jump in 5 seconds, right? I could jump to the next thing. But if I try to stay there,
present in the moment.
Yeah, I seem to stay a little bit more sane.
That's good. I think that's interesting perspective because I haven't really thought of it that way. All right. Okay, thanks, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Gracing us with some pearls of wisdom here.
You're welcome.
One of my favorite things that I love to talk about as a mom and from my like little mom platform is that you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
I was trying to remember this. I love that saying that you have. I think it is so good.
I just have to remind myself that, and that also sometimes means saying no to things, but also for me that means like if I am going to do something here really well, it means something else probably isn't going to get the same kind of attention.
And being okay with that.
Yeah, and so I call them mom hacks, taking those shortcuts. Like if there's a shortcut, take it. Like it's okay. Yeah. And then whatever truly is important, if it's family time, that gets full attention. Or maybe it's, for me, I love birthdays and holidays. Yeah. Those I put a lot of effort into. But like sometimes I'm not making everything from scratch, and that's all right.
That's right.
So talk to me about some of your mom hacks or shortcuts. What do you take? Because you've got 4 kids, you're doing it all.
Right. So, I love mom hacks too, because anything that can streamline, I'm all about efficiency. And amen, I'm so glad to hear that someone else is not trying to Martha Stewart it up, because that is not who I am.
I love Martha, and she went to jail. So I'm giving her all the street cred. But no, I mean, sometimes I just can't.
No, and it's not really possible. Who I am. Like I was talking with Hope the other night. I said, we will always do bike rides. We will always go to the park and play sports. I'm probably not ever going to be the super, like, we've got a weekly craft that we do, because I'm just not going to keep up with it. But so for me, a couple that are maybe, that I found to be really helpful. I do my to-do list the night before.
That's good.
That one for me has been huge because it lets my mind be quiet when I go to sleep. And then I wake up and I know, and if we want to get into that a little, it's like the Bible says there's evening and morning, day one. So kind of in my head, I think, oh, hey, like the day is actually starting the night before anyway. So I'm going to get ready and then go to sleep and rest. So I've done that for a long time. And on the days when I do my to-do list at night, the next day feels like I wake up and I can just hit the ground running.
That's good.
And then I know you're big on this too, but I like organization. So anything in the house, like we've got a shoe basket, put the shoes there, a water bottle tray, they all go there. Just little stuff like that that seems to keep things streamlined. You mentioned like crock pot meals. I love my Instapot. So the menu planning.
Take the shortcuts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have to like think at 4:30, what are we going to eat tonight? I just know what we're going to do. So those are just a couple that have been really helpful.
That's really good. No, I mean, and I was reading this interesting, like, article about habits and children, how to create that. And if you like look at a kindergarten class, it's like the kindergarten class, it's like, okay, you're at the red table. The red table has the red bins and you put your things in this, and it's very clear where things go for children. And I feel like sometimes we overcomplicate things for children. And honestly, I'm guilty of this too, because we have a relatively small house. Like, our kitchen is pretty stuffed. And if I don't unload the dishwasher, I have to come back and like, because everything gets put in the craziest places, because it's a little bit overcomplicated for the kids even to do that, because they don't know all my little nuances, like this goes here, this goes here. And so when you're trying to like organize your house or take care of or be upset with your children, like, but do my kids actually know where it goes? Listen to this one thing, and it said, like, I was mad for my kids, they weren't hanging up their jackets after school or something like that. And then I realized the hooks were too high for them to reach, you know, and like you have to break it down for them.
Well, and when you have more than one child that you're looking after, I feel like it creates peace in them too when they know what's expected of them. You know, like, think about the times I remember as a kid, you do something wrong and there's that reaction, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't know, or whatever. If there's like that preemptive thought on their behalf, how can I make this easier? Like you're saying, the coat hooks being lower, or the shoes, they're always going to go here. Then they kind of are able to settle into what's expected, and it just, like, anything that could cut chaos out, I'm all about it.
Absolutely. And that I feel like this season has lent itself to a lot more organization in some places. I mean, to some extent, it's not perfect. And I actually finally tackled my garage, because I was like, if I don't get this done during quarantine, then
I failed.
Then like I never was going to do it. Yeah. So I finally did that. But yeah, having that expectation for your kids and kind of taking away the chaos, like, because I get upset
eliminating it for them
that they put everything away, but there was nowhere to put it in the first place.
That's
you know?
right.
So
yeah, that's so
good.
I love it.
We're preaching good up here. Just kidding.
Hour 2. Here we go.
No, it's so simple, but if you don't like break it down and think about it that way, then it can escape, and it can be a point of contention too, especially if you're somebody who really likes organization in the house.
If you want an ordered house and you want kids that, you know, create that in their life, then creating the systems for them makes a big difference. And I like to think about things like how my brain works anyway, is anytime I'm looking at something to do, I like to define the objective. Like, what is the objective of this? What am I trying to accomplish? Because when I set that intention out front, then typically the steps that I need to take to get to that objective, they come into place, instead of trying to like fumble my way through it and hope that I land where I want to land. Defining the objective has been
this is your like type A list making brain that's like totally, and I'm like that, but I'm a little bit more scattered. Like, I let things kind of float around in my head a little bit until I figure it out. But you're like, excuse me, it's not the coronavirus. It's just allergies. Just kidding. That's what my toddler says every time she coughs, and it cracks me up. And now I'm gonna cough.
That is so cute.
Okay, so, oh my gosh.
You okay? Do you want
I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't have the virus. Yeah, it's good. My other mom hack that I love to really like harp on that has been really successful for me. Not as much in this time because we're at home all the time, but before, when we were, you know, darting around and commuting with the kids, and like I've got my people mover that like I load the kids up in. Is keeping snacks in the car is
so smart.
The biggest.
That's a good idea. I've never done
you
that.
always pick the kids
What
up.
are your favorites? Like, what do you keep
Anything
on hand
from
in the car?
Costco that I can just toss in there. Like,
in a bag or what?
Fruit, yeah, I keep a basket, like a just little like plastic tub, you know, behind my seat under Piper's car seat, because there's no feet going down there. And I'll keep sometimes bottled water, and I'm refreshing them. I mean, packs of nuts. I'll keep chips. If I put fruit snacks and things like that, they eat that first. But if you do healthier snacks, because you always pick them up, they're cranky. Usually we're driving around to different schools, picking up different people, and they're fighting. But if they have snacks,
that's genius.
You have mom street cred.
Really,
my mom's always got snacks. Mom, what snacks do you have? And their friends like it too. So
that's a good idea. I'm gonna
put that basket in there. They will appreciate it, and you have to constantly refresh it. But even like if I'm running out the door, I'll grab also like some cheese and some grapes. Those things don't sit there. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Snacks.
Genius.
And for adults too, for me, because I get cranky and then I don't want to go through the McDonald's drive-through.
Right.
Actually, really, it's Chick-fil-A. But it's true.
Whatever your fast food joint of choice is, we're skipping it because now we have this great idea. I love that. My kids would totally benefit from having that, because you think, like, when you pick them up from school or whatever, they're needing something to stabilize the blood sugar, get it in place, and then we're good to go.
Hungry people are mean people. What's that? But like the Snickers commercial with Betty White, you're just not yourself when you're hungry, right?
I love it.
So what does your downtime look like as a superhero single mom? You know, you're not getting that much.
Title.
Yeah.
I really like walking. So I've got a little miniature schnauzer. I make sure I take him on a walk, because that for me is actually downtime to accomplish two things in one, right? But I really like to read. I really like to take a nice hot bath. That's something that is just, let them watch a video. And and I think obviously we've all had plenty of time to pick out what we want to watch on Netflix and do the thing. So it's like, enough, I'm good.
Yeah.
But meditating, journaling, those are things that are really, they've helped me kind of recenter when I need to do that.
When you're at because that's the thing, when you're at your wit's end with your kid, usually for me, it's like, I got to check out, I'm leaving, I'm going to Target.
Yeah.
You take the kids, but when you're the person there, it's like, you can't, and so you have to lock
Well, and the blessing of where I'm at too is I have a 12-year-old. So I can go, she's got a phone, I can go for 20 minutes and get out, go do the thing, and then come back. And that's a huge benefit. But I think it is important to be able, I tell my kids when they're going to get in a fight, I say, just take a break. Take a break from each other. Step away.
Yeah, get away.
And it's the same for me. Like, just take a break. It's so important to give yourself that grace. Absolutely.
You have to separate. You have to step back. Otherwise,
it's humanity.
The head is gonna pop off. That's how I feel sometimes. Like if I stay in here and really close,
until my head popped out.
Yeah, and that's the best part. As the kids are getting older, we're really appreciating that. Like our oldest is 14, or going to be 14. Austin, you look 14. And we have been going to play tennis early in the morning while the kids are still waking up and things like that. And that is a game changer when they start to age up a little bit. Yeah, and have somebody that's responsible and you can trust them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the technology, obviously.
That they can call. We got the Alexas. If my 6-year-old wants to call, she can call on the
Alexa. No, I get calls from my 4-year-old on the Alexa, and I'm all, what are you doing? Mom, where are the fruit snacks? Yeah, I'm here. My 4-year-old doesn't even really ask me questions anymore. She just asks Alexa. So
the things that my 6-year-old knows how to do with Alexa, and we've talked about this, how similar they are.
Yes.
I'm like, you're this genius little technology guru.
What's even going on? Yeah. What are your go-to when you don't want to make a meal and you're just at your wit's end? What are your go-to easy meals?
Frozen pizzas from Trader Joe's.
Oh yeah,
I love frozen
Trader Joe's.
But Chick-fil-A, everybody loves it. Nobody complains. I can set them down. I can go sit and do one of the things that I need to do. So I love that. But yeah, those are probably the two I go back to the biggest. If it's I don't want to cook, I don't want to do anything, I'm totally spent by the end of the day. Frozen pizzas are easy.
Do you have your kids make dinner ever?
They'll help, but Hope is really artistic. So she loves to bake, but she's not really ever taken an interest in cooking yet. Yeah, and my 7-year-old is probably the one that likes to get in there and help. Good. So I'm not going to be turning him over to the kitchen.
All right, not quite. Yes, no. We'd like the house to remain standing.
No burning down things.
My kids if I'm at the end. Yeah. We have Easy Mac cups in the garage, and
I love it.
It's so lazy and it's awful of me, but that's my shortcut. If I'm they're hungry and I don't want to get a snack. Yeah. But the other thing I've been doing that's been really helpful, by the way, on the snack front, that because my kids literally want to eat every 2 seconds, and we keep all of our big Costco snacks in the garage, and they're just going out there, and before I know it, I find wrappers of chips and Capri Suns and this everywhere. Yeah. But if I try to eliminate that, if I get up around in the morning, they have breakfast, and then around 10:30, 11, I call it a snack tray, and I just set out carrots, blueberries, crackers, hummus, and just make it kind of like a charcuterie board,
kind of fancy
so it feels fancy. Yeah. And then they're just eating, because they won't go in the refrigerator and get carrots out and hummus and eat
They
them.
wouldn't do it, but they'll come to
They're eating chili cheese Fritos, and but if I have it setting out for them, that makes it so much easier and so much better.
On that note, it's the cheeses and that there's a really great, there's those meats and stuff that you can do just from Trader Joe's. But like we'll open a can of olives, and
Yes.
it's the same thing that you're talking about. We have hodgepodge at our house, but it's all the little things that it's like I'm just kind of grabbing from the pantry, whatever I don't
Anything
have
I
to touch
see that I
more
don't have
than
to, and just
once.
throw on a little plate
Yeah.
and make it nice and whatever, and
Yeah.
then they just think it's so cool and fancy. So
And you're like,
free.
when?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your like go-to, like I'm feeling good about being a mom, and your like baller meal that you make that's your like specialty?
You know,
that you feel
that's
good
a
about?
good question. Okay, they love my lasagna. I make
Yeah.
a pretty
You make it
rockin'
like
lasagna.
from scratch and like all the things.
Well, yeah, you know, saute the onions and garlic and the meat and the bell pepper, and I don't make the sauce or anything, but yeah, love the lasagna. It's a
I've
big
actually
hit.
this is embarrassing. I've never made a lasagna from scratch. I should try it.
Well, what would that? I mean, am I making it from scratch?
No, I mean that is when you get all the different peas. I get
Okay.
like there's actually this amazing lasagna
Because
kit
I'm thinking
at
like
Costco.
making it from scratch would be
Well,
like I make the.
You're not making the
sauce
noodles.
and
My husband will make the sauce. He's better with that, but I just don't. That's another shortcut I take. Like I don't make that from scratch, but I should.
I have a recipe. I'll send
I'm
it.
feeling really convicted right now about my lasagna.
Oh, please. I watch your stuff on Instagram, and you cook some meals where I'm like, I'm going to screenshot this.
I
This
make
is a great
some.
idea.
David actually is the heavy hitter chef.
Yeah.
Like I'm the easy like crock
What's
pot,
simple.
casserole.
Yeah.
Like I got my 2 Magnolia cookbooks from Joanna Gaines.
Yeah,
Like
they look
comfort
pretty.
food.
Yeah,
They're good, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well thanks, I feel better.
Yeah.
But still I'm gonna have to track a lasagna.
I'll send you a recipe.
I would appreciate it. Yep. As we've kind of discussed, community and support,
Mm-hmm.
family, like I feel like that's huge because I'm sure your mom helps you out during this time.
Well, she did. We were living with her until
Right.
recently, so that was a huge blessing. You know, to be able to have that. She's moving to Colorado. I've got a sister up there, so she's
Right.
heading out. So I reached out to our church recently and just said, hey, this is the reality. I'm going to be preemptive with this. I don't even know what I'm asking for, but I just want to get out ahead of this and say, can you help me brainstorm? What are some ways so that I don't, because this personality type is like, I'll just run myself until the head pops off, like you said.
Yep, the head pop is,
Yeah.
and asking for help is not
Yeah.
necessarily a strong suit.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to just be preemptive and say, I just need to put some things in place in advance so I don't get to that point.
That's good, yeah. But, and moving, and I mean, you lived in Texas for a good
5.5
amount of
years
time.
and then
then-
Colorado for 5.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so moving to a new place too, even though you're from here and this
Yeah,
church is home,
reconnecting.
yeah, it's hard. You know what's funny thing that I didn't even mention that I think is really important is that you had a talk show here at Calvary once upon a time. I don't know why this just popped into my head, but let's talk about that.
Let's talk about
It was, what was it called?
It was called Raw Talk for Real Life.
Raw Talk for Real Life, and you're on the radio. It was like every Sunday, right?
Yeah, I was when I was working at M88. Well, because the other fun fact is Becca's dad took over the radio station that my dad started here in Albuquerque and is now under the umbrella of Calvary.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, very small world. So
Yeah.
you and Levi, my brother, used to have, and it was like, Raw Talk, right? And that was
I
your,
don't remember whose voice that was, but it was very
I don't know.
intense.
It was pretty intense, but that was like, early 2000s. So it was,
Yeah. Yeah, because I was in college. I was at UNM still, so.
and people would call in. And what was your major at UNM?
Broadcast journalism and political science.
And here we are,
There,
folks. There we are, full circle.
What did you started studying?
I studied marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
business,
sense,
business
though.
management and marketing.
All like that family.
It's all in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I like that. But people would call in. And
Yeah, it was
like,
a talk show, so we'd pick a topic and people would call in with questions. And I'll be honest, I felt a little unqualified to be answering people's questions, but it was good. We had a good time.
So first of all, I think anytime you do anything, especially new, you
Yeah.
always feel a little
Yeah,
unqualified.
that's true.
I
Good point.
actually got the call to this, and I was like, "Are you sure?" Okay, remember, I'm not a pastor. Okay, those are my brothers, my dad.
I know you
Like,
know.
Are you sure you got the right
the
Lesko?
demographic we're talking about.
So, but I feel like that's part of it. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like being a mother too.
just being willing to say yes and then figure it out as you go. 'Cause
Yeah.
that really, actually, if we're all honest, that is what life is. None
Feeling
of us. I mean, you can read all the books.
unqualified.
Yeah, feeling unqualified and doing it anyway.
Well, and then later, once you start to feel like I've got this all down, I know what I'm doing,
You're
I'm a
bored
pro.
and ready to go
You're
to the
bored, but
next
also
thing.
that's when everything starts falling apart. It's
Oh,
that
that's true,
I feel like
yeah.
that piece when you have a little bit of uncertainty, but you're open.
And you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, and you're doing it anyway, and you're pushing, and being a mom and being a parent. Like, remember the first time you had a baby? You know,
You can read 8 books and
Uh-huh.
you still are wondering. I mean, okay, I think I almost starved Hope to death when she was first born because I didn't know anything about nursing.
Learning nursing,
Right.
yeah.
The point is, you can read, and I read like 5 books. Before.
Well, I'm sure you didn't. I think all new moms feel like
I
that.
think
that
I may have. Anyway, it's another day,
another topic. But no, a feeling of being unqualified and not ready. And
Right.
I love that you just segued with that from Raw Talk. But you just do it anyway, and you figure it out, and like
and you go for
God
it.
has equipped us, and that's something I keep bringing up that is a kind of reoccurring topic, that when you have that feeling with your kids, like, am I ruining them? Am I doing this right? Am I messing them up? Like, that God cares for your children even more than you do, if that's even possible.
That's right.
And they're his first. And so he's gonna take care of them, and you have to kind of lean back into that and trust.
Well, because
that.
what is that really? Like, at the end of the day, what you're talking about, that's fear.
Yep.
It's fear, right? And perfect love casts out fear. So if that's true, which we believe it's true, then actually any of those thoughts and the dialogue that we're giving ourselves in our head shouldn't have any place in our brain.
Nope. Cast it out of there.
There's that.
So that feeling of insufficiency, that feeling of not being qualified or feeling not being ready, like as a parent, get it out of there.
Yeah, there's no time for that.
And not to say that you don't ask for help or like do research or try to figure things out, but like you're in this position and these children have been given to you for a reason, for this specific.
Trust your capacity.
Yes.
That's right.
Dang, that just came full circle. Oh, I feel like that we just preached like a whole parenting sermon on loving, and it just came full circle to like the. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
you're onto something.
I'm going to ask you some fun questions here. These are just lighthearted and small. Coffee or tea?
Oh, no.
If you had to choose one.
Yeah,
Coffee or
I
tea?
love jasmine green tea, so I'm going to go with that.
Ah, okay. You would be able to let go of coffee. I like that.
Yeah, well, I had to a couple times just for health stuff that I went through. And so I had to, so I know I could.
Okay.
But I like both.
Beach or mountains?
Oh, yeah, the beach. But I do love the mountains. I'm not good at picking. I'm really
one or the other? You're just right in the middle.
I like them all.
I'm definitive. I love decisions. I'm like, oh no, this.
No,
I love this.
I'm so bad. I'm not great at this game.
Okay, well, beach or mountains. Okay, so here's an example. Now you're an oiler. You're a professional.
Yeah,
What did you call it?
Well, I'm a master herbalist.
Master herbalist.
Which is like that's
the certification.
It's a thing.
And I'm not.
But it's kind of a cheesy thing.
No, it's cool.
It's well, I think it's
cool.
I'm a nerdy plant lady.
I wasn't trying to like take away from it. I just didn't.
Oh no,
remember,
but
like,
I'm gonna
topic was.
downplay it because I can do that with it.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely a nerdy plant lady thing.
So, my husband is sleeping on the couch.
Okay.
I don't know what month it is, let alone what day it is right now. My kids decided to play kinetic sand on my rug in the living room.
Oh no.
Kinetic sand.
Is that the stuff that's kind of like?
It's like crumbly and wet sand, but it's not. But then it just gets everywhere.
Yep.
It's dry.
Yep. Had.
Do we keep having it? It's everywhere in my house. I need to make dinner, and I haven't taken a shower in 2 days. What oil do I need?
Which one don't you?
What's
need?
one oil? One oil. I need one oil that's like
that's
gonna like center everything.
How are you feeling?
Frazzled.
I would say energy.
Okay.
Or clarity. Peace and calming.
Good.
There's a list.
Good.
There's a couple. Yeah.
What would be? I'm gonna make you choose again.
Ugh.
Desert island oil. You can take one oil in your backpack.
Frankincense.
Frankincense?
Without question.
It smells so bad.
Then there's an emotional issue behind that. Becca. We need to talk.
Okay. Frankincense. Why frankincense?
Well, frankincense has like 20,000. This is where I can get sciencey. Yeah.
Go for it.
It's got like 20,000 different studies that they've done to determine its capacity and what it does for cellular health and emotional health and spiritual wellness. Nothing can touch it.
Okay.
My
frankincense.
favorite.
I'm going to do some frankincense research.
Yeah.
And also, the 3 wise men brought it to Jesus.
That's right.
So there's something there too.
There is.
Okay.
Yep.
If I called your kids up right now and asked them what's most embarrassing about you, what do you think they'd say?
Okay, well, so I asked them this on the way over to take them and drive. And they were like, we can't come up with anything. So I think I would like to know if
they like your singing songs and like your things. Oh, my kids
They
don't.
love them.
Okay.
But I guess we could say that we were that cheesy homeschool family. Maybe then we could fall under the stereotype.
Homeschool stereotype. Sing songs in the van.
Yeah, maybe we just give into it.
Have you ever made your kids clothes?
No.
Okay, you're fine. You're safe.
Fine.
You're totally safe.
No.
I embarrass my kids regularly. Sometimes I think there's a fine line, like a little bit, they like it and my dancing and stuff like that, and I try to do TikTok dances and stuff like that. But today my son was on a final Zoom call for 6th grade, and they had like probably 100 kids on there, and they're giving awards out to every kid, and it was really sweet. It actually kind of teared me up a little bit. We were like, that this is the way 6th grade's ending, but neither here nor there. So I walked in to talk to him, and I was like watching it and trying to see if he was going to get an award, and watching, and he was on. They had all the kids on mute. They were off. And so I'd left, and I was doing something, and I was going to go in the backyard, and I put my bathing suit on. And then I came back in to talk to him, and I'm suddenly standing behind him in the middle of a Zoom meeting, and he had turned on his thing, and he's like, Mom, no, oh my gosh. And he's like hyperventilating because I'd been on a Zoom meeting.
Gosh,
and there was like 100 kids, so I don't think anybody really saw me.
No one was paying any attention.
And it's like, I mean, it was my bathing suit, but he was...
And they've got a whole summer to forget about it.
Mortified that I was on his Zoom call today in my bathing suit. So
I love it.
Embarrassing.
It's a great story.
I think that's like a rite of passage, and I think there's a fine line, not going excessive with it, but there's got to be some...
There has to be some
character building moments in there for your kids. Okay.
They have to, endure.
Well, we are about to wrap up. Let's just say there's a mom out there, or 10 moms, or every single mom out there that's just struggling, like feeling not seen, feeling like they're doing a bad job trying to be at home and work from home and take care of their kids, and they're not doing all the Pinteresty, cool Instagram things with their kids. They see everybody else, and that mom guilt is settling in.
Yeah.
Give those moms out there some encouragement for us, Stacy.
I would say definitely take every thought captive. The tape we play in our head is the one that shapes how we're looking at the world around us. And so when you're feeling that way, we know that feeling originated with a thought. And so I would just really encourage you to shift it by doing something. And I know that it may not sound like I don't even know what it sounds like. I'll be honest. I just know it works for me. Like when I'm in that place, if I can take control of my mind and move it into a direction where I'm expressing what I can be grateful for, or there is a bright side. You know, I like to think like, okay, we're going to take my phone. There's this side of my phone, and then there's the screen. And if I can look at this side, all I'm seeing is this right now, which is where that worry could come from, or the fear. But if I shift it around, then I see the back of my phone. It's a totally different perspective. It's the exact same thing, but a different perspective. And so I think having that discipline to get into our own head, and like you're taking the tape out, or start by doing a gratitude list. When we think differently, we are going to feel different emotions at that point, and it's going to change everything. And so it's really simple. It's the hardest work in the world, they say, but I found it to be true for me. It makes the absolute biggest difference.
No, that's really good. That's really encouraging to take your thoughts captive and be in charge of them, rather than letting them run away in that negative self-talk, you know, but just that you're seen too. Like,
absolutely,
the work that we're doing as mothers is important, and it is impactful. And even though it doesn't seem big and glamorous and exciting, or maybe you don't have a Instagram worthy house that's all dialed in with your cute little crafts and things like that, like what you're doing, your children have been given to you for a reason.
That's right.
It's important, and God has given you this microphone into your children's lives, and that is huge.
And keep sowing those heart seeds, keep planting, keep tending. It's gonna bear fruit. It will bear fruit.
Yep,
absolutely.
100%. So just some encouragement as we wrap up. It has been really special and just a really high honor to be able to just come and speak about families and this weird quarantine time that we've experienced. But I've really enjoyed it, and that's it for this week's episode of Family Talk with Becca Toups. Thank you, Stacy Rich, for joining us. You can find her on Instagram, Stacy D Rich, if you have any oil questions, and I'm going to go research frankincense. Thank you.
Thanks a bunch, Becca.
Bye.